Hello everybody, I'm your host TedTokez. We got a pretty good couple of matches this time. We got some World of Tanks Xbox console version here. This is off of the Xbox One X before it broke on me a month ago. We're going to make our way to the front line here. We're in the FV4005 this time. And as you can be aware, even with the tempo change, it's a fast tank. It's just a large tank, but it's got a very large gun, so that helps it.
Aw, you got a ship burn too.
Actually being a real tank that humanity developed at one point in time. And due to the size of the gun, the tank was actually designed that big so that it didn't tip backwards when it shot the gun.
How do you like your ship burn?
And it had a wheelie bar or a stabilization bar on the original, whatever they call it.
Oh, the loading times.
And I probably mentioned my only fresh off the lot complaint.
Loading time sucks.
About 3 times in.
And the FV4007s kill ya on these things.
Which is a high percentage considering when you're reloading.
As soon as you see one, oh my dear God.
Any tank can just whittle away what little health you have. And that's why I consider the FV4005 a support tank.
You gonna take it? Yeah.
It's not a tank you can use as a primary individual. For example, it doesn't have the abilities to handle itself in 1v2 if it reaches close quarters.
Oh
shit! Reaches close
There's
quarters.
F-150 right there. Oh.
And I just want to say, man, shout out to teamwork.
Okay. We're gonna go after that shit barn because he has a 15-second reloading time, so we can get him.
Because
Get
though
him
I
from
would have
behind.
noticed her tank visually progressing towards the enemies, the fact that she conversed it with me allowed me to have an acknowledgement beforehand, which then I didn't even sit there and think with myself about am I going to push up with her when I visually see her push up. And because I knew I was just reloading after shooting before I saw and was informed of her push, I didn't know the tank was coming through the smoke. So when you saw me ramming them, it's probably good that I didn't know, because I would have got in front of them to stop them from progressing towards my teammate who I knew was already reloading.
Mine's a 20-second reload.
Which meant I probably was going to reload faster because she shot more recent and we both had about the same reload time, it seemed. However, thinking about it, you may ask yourself,
I have to get the,
why are you thanking the teamwork when it's just her giving team comms that you're thankful
I get
for?
the reload time.
But as you could be aware, she's playing with somebody in her ear. Now that's 2 people working together as one player, right?
The turret speed one doesn't even work on this.
Now when you accept that for what it is, and then you look at the whole team as 15 players, you have to ask yourself how many of them are even doing that much together. Now as you can see, we're still here working together, me and then them 2 on their side of the screen. And I get myself a lazy auto-locked shot. She lands her shot into that tank. Now we have really significantly changed the battlefield as far as this immediate battle
he
goes.
threw the smoke. But there's 5 behind him though.
Now she mentions here,
so you could be drawing us out too.
I already watched this video, so I kind of realize what's about to happen. But she mentions, and she's right, they could very well be pulling this out. I push in anyway because I almost got my
Something got you from the side.
And my guess is she's going to support me in my attempt to conquer the enemies and how many ever there are.
Coming up behind you.
Where?
And I remember playing this match. I pulled that trigger right when I'm
forward?
talking. If I had milliseconds, I probably would have got that shot off. But my reload wasn't soon enough.
Oh, there's one right there. Dead one.
Now, you may think those pings are slightly irrelevant, and at the time they are. I just wanted to ping it for whenever I go back over this match. for my capture. But I
One's gonna
pinged
come.
it because them players up in that
Oh,
corner
there's one right
that
there.
held their ground for as long as they
It's
could
coming.
while we were rotating the map. And then these players that sat here close to
Okay.
the base that never really did anything probably. They likely didn't help the
There he is.
guys
He
that went
sneak peeked
down
me.
to A4 and hit all game in their little security
Okay, back up.
safety net of
Oh.
a position. And, they didn't go down the 8 or 9
shit.
line and help us rotate the map. They just sat there, and it could be good, it's stopping them from taking the base and all, but,
Fuck.
you telling me
Shit.
that those
He's
tanks
got
couldn't
me.
help these
I couldn't even turn.
couple
Yeah, he knows my reload time, of
FV4005s
course.
push the front lines more
But
than they
I
already
should have
are
waited for him. I
on
was
their
going
own
to wait
as
for
much
him.
as they are?
You're kind of fucked because the other guy.
And not to make it more confusing by voicing over top of her comms, but he mentions, and it may or may not have been better. I will leave that up for debate because I could argue both sides.
Go up to him.
However, I'm leaning more
There you
towards
go.
the side that
Oh,
us
dog got
pushing
him.
through
Thank God.
that
He's the
smoke,
last one.
maybe not at that exact second in the match, but if we would have sat there, the end game would have ended even worse than it did because me and her 4005 achieved what we achieved while the match was going on during the same time frame that it would have been going on if we were sitting back at this
there's
corner
another
before the push that I
shit
failed.
barn on the other side.
And so many players,
Probably sniping somewhere.
experience that if they don't already realize that to be the case, because that's why the only people who will argue with me about when I say we need help on the front lines and not we need help from you Overwatch players is because the Overwatch players will only argue that they don't need to push up there because they need their points from back there. They're not one of the players that realize the more you do, the sooner it gets done. The better you do it together. That's how you beat any enemy, anytime. However, even if you do things better or faster, that's why people still hide in the back row, because they know
Somebody
even
blew
if you
some
do
smoke.
things the best, if you're not getting to do things after that, guess who still has a chance to do better?
Oh, it's 4 seconds. He's almost in the circle. Oh my god.
And anybody who wants to remember things like this or take my advice for future reference, here's the thing. The guy didn't make it to the zone, had the bullet the whole he could have probably did at least 2 pop shots through the smoke, maybe landing the shot, right? However, our final survivor on our team still got 3rd place. I managed 2nd, and then the FV4005 that I was trying to help and was getting help from did a little bit better than me and took 1st place. Congratulations. All right, now this one here, this match, as usual, I don't live very long, okay, guys? I'm going to spoil that one for you, even though most of you probably already understand that to be the case. Being's my survival rate and all. And as you'll see, it's a lot of carelessness, just floating through the game type of gameplay, and I'm just allowing myself to take losses where I don't have to, which turns out to be the problem that I had that match. And right here is a good example why I say that this isn't a skill-based game. This is a community curved-based game. Mostly because you saw me land my shot. I got the damage, but the X that it showed on impact showed that I didn't penetrate. But I still got, so that's what I'm saying. It's just, there's a lot of algorithms that I think need fixed in this game for me to consider this an actual skill-based game and not a curved for the community or whoever, or even whatever the algorithms are curving for. And I'm not making an excuse. I'm not really even complaining. I'm just taking acknowledgement. Just like I could have acknowledged, excuse me, how most of the damage that I took there was because I was carelessly using cover. I wasn't actually using my cover, right? I was reloading. I had no reason to sit out there and take 1,000+ damage while I was reloading. But because I won't take myself out, those are all shots that would have been shot at other teammates. That's why I play the way that I play, though, because I'm not playing like other players who need the points that they can barely get. I get so many points when I'm even not trying that I don't have to even get all the points that I tried for. For example, I was trying to line up that shot so much that I wanted to guarantee it that I lost the opportunity. That's what I mean. And for example here, I take that shot and it's another deflection. That's what the thing indicated, but that's what my hit marker indicated only. And because I wanted to wait for that clear shot, I missed my opportunity, even though you can rush in it as well. However, I could have potentially been reloaded by the time I got that next shot that, was at the top of the hill. Before I even turned around, drove down the hill, came over here, found this opportunity, lined up this shot, got those points, made an enemy throw his smoke, wasting 10 grand and his own time unless he can find a way to benefit off of it. Also dodging one of the 2 shots that were shot at me by their shooters. And now because they threw their smoke after I shot them, which bought me even more time than it would have if he threw his smoke before I got to shoot him. Now I'm almost reloaded for these tanks that are going to try and counter my position. While having a little hiccup on the hill, because that's not one of the things that I really studied or exercised while I was floating through my training period. I have a little bit of a hiccup on these hills here, and then I don't get my shot off in time when I could have just been looking down my barrel at the right angle, in the right position, instead of just wiggling about trying to find it and work it out. And I also want to say, man, shout out to this kind of situation, man. These Overwatch players who think they're so damn good because they're alive longer than everybody else. This is the type of player that'll give you, at the end game, a 5 versus 8, okay? And then it'll turn into a 3 versus 7, right? And then, when you get to the rewards board, and I'm not saying this about Old Welder because I've played with this guy before, like in a platoon. He's not a bad player. However, so many players like to think that they're better than other players because they do good or have good scores. But if you pay attention, someone that just did as crappy as I did better than 4 out of 5 of the last people alive. And like I said, I like Old Welder. I played with him before. He's a decent teammate to have on your team. He's not someone that's going to get you killed for him to get his points every game, or killing off any amount of his team for them to get their points. And I'm not saying that he did bad or got a free podium or anything, but here's my point of view on it. When it was 5 versus 8 left, the guy was at 4,800 and something damage already, right? So the extra 4,000 or 3,500 damage that he got was after the match was pretty much over, right? Yeah, he got 4,000 damage or 4,800 and something damage, by then, but I got 4,000 damage by then, and I didn't even do that good. You see what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, we probably were the best on our team that time. We may have did the best out of our team that time. But that doesn't mean that we're even really doing good, even though I do think we did good. I didn't see anything wrong with what he was doing. His position was good. My position was worse than his. I think I did better point-wise, but that's more of like a time survived ratioed to the damage output allowance kind of thing. That's how much of a difference that can be made when you're not 12 tanks failing at one job because you need all your other teammates to do the job with you. That guy, he marked his position before he pushed, playing like a player that could play for his teammates and not need his teammates to play for him.